And I'm live. That is cool. And today is 7th of August 2025, Thursday. And today is also a Code Forces contest number 1041. And I am hoping to reach specialist level rating in this contest. Currently, I'm at 1300. So let's see how that goes. And before giving the contest, I have to practice. So let's do some questions. Some 1000 level questions. Oh, some 1200 level questions, not 1000. And yesterday I did this one after the stream, and it was actually not very hard. And also, I have to improve, like, work on my fundamentals and basics. That's why I will be also doing this thing after I'm done with these 1200 level questions. I will be doing streams in which I will complete this whole thing by neat code. It says right here, and by this my goal is to get better at the fundamentals so that whenever I see something, I have some conceptual understanding of what this might be pointing to. And in this, we have 150 questions, and yeah, the main thing is to get to know algorithms and DSA so that when I'm doing code forces, I have some tools which I can apply to find the solution. And let's begin. I have my terminal ready, and the question is right here. Let's go. I am Fischl the should German. It is no surprise Fischl speaks with a strange choice of words, however, this time not even O's. Her raven friend can interpret her accents. Maybe you can help us with understanding what the young princess is saying. You can a string of n lowercase Latin letters, the word that Fishy just spoke. Okay, the word. Okay, you think the mix of this string may help you find the meaning behind it. The mix of the string is defined as the shortest of the string is defined as the shortest string that doesn't appear as a continuous substring in the input. Shortest string like a. If multiple strings exist, the lexicographically smallest one is considered the max. Note, the empty substring does not count as a max. Okay, so no zero. String A is lexicographically smaller than B, and okay, okay, and okay, if and only if the following holds. A is a prefix of B, but A is not equal to B. The first position where A and B are different. The string A has a letter that appears earlier in the alphabet than corresponding B. Okay, in string A. Okay, string A is a substring of B if B. So if A can be obtained by deleting several words from B and find out the max on the string is okay. I have A. How long can the string be? I need to find the max. So how long can the length of that string be? N and N, and then on the next line, the string itself. So here I have 13, and okay, so I will have to go through A. Then I'll see after Z, the shortest string would be AA, and then AB. Is there AB? Do I have AB? AB is there. So shit, is that the only way? I have to go through things. Seems like it. The time complexity 1000. And okay, for one letters, it is very easy to check. I can just go through and count occurrences of each letter, and then for every two-letter pair, I would have to go through this again and again and again. Okay, output mix in a new line. The length of the word, the second line for each string, the sum of n. Okay, okay. The the brute force is easy, of course, and int count 26 uh, array of integers, and also size 26. Okay, and for auto x in s, count of x minus a plus plus. And I will go through this again. Char answers, or c equals -1. And for auto x in cnt, if not x, if x is 0, the value at that place is 0. That is, I have not encountered this string. Therefore, I will do c equals, shit, I need the index. I less than 26, I plus plus, and if cnti not cnti, then c equals I plus a, and also break, and if c equals -1, then c out c and a new line. Else I will have to go through the string equals string, say c, string answer will start at aa, and right now, wait a minute, I have to enable focus mode, I guess. Yep. And this, okay, else if answer is aa, okay, and uh, uh, okay, string answer aa would be the smallest two-letter string. But is there any better way to do this than accept this? So I will go through the whole thing and I will see, does this thing exist? So, and I would also need a mechanism by which I can increase this thing, and this is just a array of characters. So this does not make sense. Okay, but let's go with brute force, but brute force at max 1000. So, shit. Let's say, no, 1000. So how many of them can I even have? 2-digit. A B, A C, A D. Yeah, I guess this is fine. This is fine. This should not be very hard. But I have to see how I can increase this thing by 1. How can I make this AA into AB and then into AC and then, yeah, just like that. Answer is AA initially, and while true, I will keep looking, and for this, for int I equals 0, I less than s dot size minus answer dot size minus 1, answer dot size plus 1, I plus plus. So that in this I will go 1 before that thing, and if, wait, I can just, instead of manually looking, I can look using that thing. And why am I still getting notification when this thing is on? Okay, I will just ignore that for the time. While true. Okay. I can do find string dot find. Uh, this is actually bothering me right now. Do not disturb. Reduce interruption. Okay. String dot find. I have to find what? What do I have to find? I have to find answer, and string doesn't mean anything. I have s dot find, and is this the correct way to find, to look for something? Shit, I am in a different file right now. Okay, s dot find, and what does this do? Find function, it is a member function for some string and parameters. In parameters, is it takes a string and it returns some integer, which points, wait, I will have to look that up. CPP reference. No, this is CPP reference. Find constant basic. Okay, it returns this thing. So what I'm trying to look is, if it finds the string, it sends the index, but what if it doesn't? Find position initially 0, start looking from there, and finds the first substring equal to the given character sequence. Search begins at position which is initially 0, and the found substring must not begin in a position proceeding post. Okay, find the first subsequence equal to string, finds the, okay, everything is here. Formally this return value, position of the first character, and end pause if no such thing is found. Okay, so look for this, and if this thing equals end pause, right? End pause, and pause. Is this correct? End pause, I guess. End pause. If this is end pause, then I can break. And if not, then I need to increase this answer by 1. And how do I do that? Can I do answer plus plus? I cannot. How to do how to change A to B in C++. How to increment a string lexicographically. How to increment a string lexicographically in C++. Next permutation. Okay. Has next permutation. Has next permutation will return true if next permutation was found is S is updated to that. If no permutation, then CBA has next value. If there is no permutation, then I can make it equal to all A's. CBA, let's see, the has next variable will be true if a next permutation was found and S is updated from that permutation, updated to that permutation. If no lexicographically greater permutation exists for CBA, has next will be false, will be, and the string will be arranged to lexicographically smallest permutation. Okay, permutation. So it will not change the characters. Okay, it will not change the characters. So that is bad. I need something to also change the characters, which can change this letter A into a B. So int P position equals answer dot size -1 so that it points to the last number, and while answer I is not equal, answer P is not equal to Z, and if it is not equal to Z, I can do answer P plus plus. No, while it is equal to Z, right? While it is equal to Z, keep decrementing P, keep decrementing P, and at the end, if also P has to be greater than equal to 0, and at the end, if P lower than 0, then I need to change the string. String equals, how do I repeat a character? Or I can just generate a new string. A string equals string with the character is going to be A. And how many times do I want to repeat? Answer dot size +1. And else answer P plus plus. If it is not Z, I guess that should work, and I will break if no position and see out answer. Okay, wrong answer is not cool. Wrong answer is actually not cool. Maybe this plus doesn't work. Yeah, this plus should work. S dot find. So in this, I should have gotten F, but I didn't somehow. It's because of this, I think. If char C equals -1, okay, and then I will go through the string 26. Okay, C and T, I went through the string once, and okay, I will only get ABCD increment, mhm, and this will be like 0, right? This will be 0. This equals I plus A whenever I find index which is 0. Okay, AA and BA is absolutely wrong. Why didn't I output that thing? So if I do cout, cout, CNT bracket I, then line, and okay, I'm getting numbers. At some point I get 0 and then I output A. But if I got a 0, then this thing should have worked, and C would be I plus A, and okay, shit. Yes, I am stupid. If it is not equal to -1, and also in doing this, and that is cool, and A C. Okay, it is because of this thing. Okay, uh, AC. Cool. Submit, and let's see. I think it will work. We will see how it goes. And stream is completely fine. 22 minutes, and I have been unable to do a question. So what the heck is that supposed to mean? This is not even a full string. Okay, it has 1,000 letters, but why is this like this? I am incrementing it. It should be cool. Is it because of this when I increase the size of the thing? So this thing, what does this return? I change this to this A, repeat A 2 times. Will I get the right answer? And I don't. A. Now also I don't, maybe. Okay, how to initialize a string in C++ with repeated characters. Okay, it comes first and then the second thing. The number count comes first and then the thing that I want to repeat. So the number would be answer dot size plus 1 and A. Right answer here, but I want the correct answer here. And the only thing that I think the implementation at this point is correct, but the time complexity might be higher than what is required, or the implementation might also be wrong. on answer 4. Okay, here I outputted a 3-character string, which is cool. I went through all the combinations, and then this. Okay, I outputted wrong answer at some point. Here, I said answer is AEZ. Answer was D, but I went forward and said Z. AEZ. Why would I do that? Initially P equals size, and then I see currently I am at the last element, and if it is equal to Z, if it is equal Z, then I will continue. And if this current letter is not equal to Z, then I will come out of the loop. Okay, so P currently has to be greater than equal to 0. And then I decrement the value of P. Something is wrong in the way that I am writing this simple loop, which is supposed to be very simple. Int P equals size, I start P there, and while P minus minus, not E minus minus, I will do minus minus here, and then there I will check P. So P is always pointing to a number that is Z, and if it doesn't point to a number that is Z, then I break out. Now I decrement P and I check if it is cool or not, and if it is, then I see if it is 0, and if it is 0, then I decrement it again and keep doing that. But shit, I'm inputting a lot of questions, a lot of things. I shouldn't be doing this like this. Mhm. The same thing. AED, it is supposed to be AED, not this thing. And I'm not even getting the full thing here. So I'm saying AEZ. So am I skipping AED in this thing? Am I actually skipping AED? Shit. So yes, shit. Okay. When I do this, when I increment the first thing that is non-zero, then I have to make everything after P till the end equal to A. Okay, so for P, while P is lower than answer dot size P plus plus, and also plus plus, increment it here, and answer P equals A. Make everything equals A. Yeah, that is the thing. Yep, yep, yep. That is the thing. I missed it. Now it should be cool. But time, it is taking a lot of time. Time limit exceeded, I guess. Okay, it is accepted. I want to see what the optimal solution for this would be, and it took me, let's say, 28 minutes, which is bad. 28 minutes is not good. Hey man, sorry if I already asked this, but do you drink coffee or tea every day? How does caffeine affect your thinking? Mm, I think it helps, but yeah, I do drink caffeine every day, and I think it helps my thinking. But I think if I wanted to, I could stop and still achieve the same level of cognition that I have with caffeine, because I have heard that Magnus Carlsen, he does not drink coffee. He drinks coffee only in some special occasions. So I could achieve a like similar level of thinking without coffee. But right now I do not want to experiment, so I just go with coffee. And I want to see what the optimal solution for this should be. And it is less about the ability to think and more about being in the present. Being in the present is very hard. It is like actually very hard being in the present, because there are a lot of things in our head going on at the same pigeonhole principle. What the heck? How can I apply the pigeonhole principle here? Okay, I think pigeonhole principle is the reason that I didn't got a time limit exceeded error. Yeah, that would be it. And yeah, that would be it, because the value of n is also not very good. So it is okay to do a complete search in this question. What is the longest? The answer could be, the longest answer could be, what the longest answer could be. Okay, longest answer, this, so shit. In this, first I will have to eliminate every single character answers. For that, I will have to use every letter in the English alphabet in the question, and to eliminate all the two character answers, I would have to add in my string A B A C A D till ZZ, and that would be 26 into 26. And if I count permutation over them, so that would reduce it. Let's see what the longest answer should be. It's brute force, yes. Check all the substrings of length less than 3. Longest answer would not be greater than 3, because 26 into 26, what is it? 26 into 26, uh, 6 into 26 into 26. So, uh, answer would not be greater than 3, 3 length. And print the lexicographically smallest one that doesn't appear as a substring in the input. We can guarantee that we will come across the answer due to the pigeonhole principle. There are at most n plus n plus n minus 2 equals 3 n minus 3 possible substrings of length 3 or shorter in the input. If n is this, n plus n plus n minus 1 plus n minus 2, that is the possible. Okay, that is the total possible uh, strings of length 3, distinct strings of length 3 that I could have. But why is the formula like this? And why is it plus? Possible substrings. Okay, there exist. Yeah. Yep. 26 singular, 26 power square double, and this length 3 strings in total substrings of length 3 or shorter. It is impossible for the input to contain all of these, as this is this and n is always less than or equal to 1000. Final runtime looks like this, and depending on how long you implement substring checking. Okay, Haskell is cool. Let me see Haskell code. Haskell is good. Okay, but why the formula is this? I want to see that. Given a string of length s, the total number of distinct substrings of length that I could have is this. Why is that? Substrings of length 3 that I could have is this. Why is that? You're on the right track. Let's see. This. You are on the right track, trying to understand the count of substrings of length 3 in a string of length n, but the expression you have written, this is not the correct formula for the number of substrings of length 3. Let's break it down. Distinct substrings, I meant. What is a substring of length 3? Something like this. A substring of length 3 is any sequence of 3 consecutive characters in the string. For example, if your string is this, it has length this, and shouldn't it be like first 3 substrings? Shit, okay. Okay, now I get it. By this, they don't mean the strings of the substrings of length 3. This n represents all the substrings of length 1. This represents all the substrings of length 2, and this all the substrings of length 3. And we are adding all of these, so this is the maximum number of substrings that we could have. Okay, that is cool. Did that, and why was it wrong? Because I forgot to add this thing. I was not incrementing correctly, and I would like to see how they are incrementing the thing. C++, 1 to n, take this and then se string expression, repeat 0. Okay, they are using this expression, which is like in the competitive programmer's handbook. They declare a string and then k less than 5 and I plus k less than n, push back this and insert this into SE. SE is a set of strings. Why is this supposed to be this complicated? And then start from length to 1 to okay, why do you have your personal things here in a tutorial? For int I equals 0, and you are increasing I plus plus. I is the iterator and A and B are the ranges with start and end. Okay, length from 1 to 6. String, initializer string t of length this and A. Okay, this should have, I guess, been changed. This could have been 3. Never mind if this. Okay, and okay, they are doing the same thing that I was doing. Make it equal to A. If it is not equal to Z, yeah, shit. Okay. I could also do this thing. Yes, makes sense. With this, then I know that current is equal to Z, then I can make it A. And yeah, answer B equals A. And this would work. So that is cool, and I can move on to the next question. And today is also a contest, which is going to be amazing. Do you play chess? Yes, I do play chess, but not right now. I am now trying to achieve a rating of 2000. I cannot play chess now. Yeah, being aware for me is the opposite. Caffeine makes me not able to be present with what I'm doing. So it is weird and frustrating how it affects people differently because you want to see what helps others and then find it might not work for you. You like looking at Magnus does. Imagine if he drank coffee and I tried his habit, but it would suck for me. Yep. Different things affect different people differently. But the fact that Magnus doesn't drink coffee is important for me in the sense that to achieve his level of cognition, I coffee is not required, right? And you can see, on the contrary, you can see, look at Gotham Chess. He drinks a lot of coffee, but he is not as good as Magnus. But we do not know about their functionality of their brains, if that is what we are trying to compare here. And I'll do the next question now. And I'm trying very hard right now, even right now, to be in the present moment and not let my brain wander around. Let's see. B, palindrome game, easy version. The only difference between easy, the palindrome is a string that reads the same left to right. Okay, Alice and Bob are playing a game on a string where S, which is initially. Wait, have I done this? No. Alice and Bob, okay, which is initially a palindrome. In this version, it is initially a palindrome of length n consisting of characters 0 and 1. Both players take alternative chances. Alice goes first. In each turn, the player can perform one of the following operations. Choose one integer which is equal to 0 and change it to 1 and pay $1. Reverse the whole string, pay $0. This operation is only allowed if the string is currently not a palindrome and the last operation was not a reverse. So I cannot keep reversing, which means I cannot get the original string back. That is, if Alice reverses the string, then Bob cannot reverse the next move and vice versa. Reversing a string means reordering the letters from left to right. This would become 10010, 10010. After reversing, the game ends when each character of a string one of the string becomes 1. The player who spends minimum dollar till this point wins the game, and it is draw if both spend equal dollars. If both players play optimally, output whether Alice wins or Bob wins, or it is a draw. Alice, Bob, draw. Okay. I have two operations. Either I change one of this and pay $1. So shit. If Alice is playing first, then she cannot do a reverse operation. She has to change the string and pay $1. Has to change a 0 to 1 and pay $1. And if the length is even and there are zeros in the string, then Alice will have to make a move in which she changes this. Okay. And then Bob will be able to reverse this because the string is no longer a palindrome. Bob can reverse it. Now Alice has to pay $1. Yes, Alice has to pay $1 again and do the thing. And if that happens, Bob reverse the string again? No, Bob will have to do it. Yep, Bob will have to do it. So it depends on the number of zeros that I have. If I have even, if I have odd number of zeros, then Alice wins. And if I have even number of zeros, then if I have odd number of zeros, then Alice wins. And if I have even number of zeros, then Bob wins. Yep. That seems correct. And right. String. Okay, and then int z equals 0. And for auto x in s, if x equals 0, then z plus plus. And if z remainder 2, if z is odd, then see out Alice. No, 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 no. And then do not see out Alice. I know that Bob will make the first move, and it depends on the number of strings. It is even, but is it a factor of, it depends on what the remainder is with 2. So, no, nope. If, okay, so I'll do z minus minus, and if z remainder 4, if it is 1 or 2, Bob will make the first move, and if the remainder is 1 or 2, then Bob will pay equal uh, this, or z remainder 4 equals 2, then Bob wins. If it is, in this case, Alice wins, and yes, Alice wins, and if it is 3, then still Alice wins, and if it is 4, then Bob wins. Then it is tie. Yep, then it is tie. Or uh, 2, or z remainder 4 equals 3, then also Alice wins. Alice, and else see out draw. Else if it is this, then Alice, then these situations are, these situations change completely. This becomes Bob, and this thing is still odd. This is still draw, and wrong answer is crazy. Bob. If it is 0, then Bob wins. Yes, shit. If the only string that I have is 0, that is the only edge case. If s dot size equals 1, and, or let, if n equals 1, and s0 equals 0, then shit. Okay, I did not consider that one thing, that in this case Alice did pay once. Okay, Alice paid once, so then Bob paid would pay one time. One would be a draw, 2, Bob would pay. It is now Alice would have to pay. Alice, draw again, and then Alice, then Bob would win. Okay, so when would Alice win? Alice would win when remainder is 2. When remainder is 1, Bob would win. No, when remainder is 1, it would be a draw. It would be when remainder is 2, Alice wins. Alice wins because Alice paid once and Bob paid twice for the 2 remainder. And then if it is 3, then Alice paid again, and now it is again draw. And if the remainder is 3, then Alice paid, and if it is 4, then Alice paid again, and Alice would win, and then Bob would win. So okay, so Alice is only winning in the case when remainder is 2. So Z remainder 4 equals 2. Only then Alice wins, and it is a draw if Z remainder 4 equals 1, or Z remainder 4 equals 3, right? Else see out Bob. Bob just won. Correct. And okay, so this makes sense because Alice paid once for the starting thing, and then in else, when Bob, when Alice is the one paying the first thing, so if the remainder is 1, 2, or 3, then Bob wins. Alice paid the first thing, then the second, and then Bob paid once. Cost is still high, and then it is draw. Okay, this shouldn't have taken me 10 minutes. Anyways, I have to be at my best when I'm solving this, even in the stream. Gnome, what's your rating? My rating is 1300 right now, and no, this is not Gnome. This is wrong answer. Shit. This is Mac. This is not Gnome or Gnome. Fourth, the fourth one, I said draw, but Bob should have won. So which one is it? In fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one. It is even. Alice has to make a move. And when that is, then Bob make a move. Bob reverses the string and Alice makes a move. Or Bob can be very smart and pay actually once, and then Alice pays, Bob reverses, and Alice pays again. Shit, that is crazy. When I have something like this, okay. But this would only work when I have only zeros in the whole thing. If I have only zeros in the whole thing, only then this would work. Or the middle parts are 0, then Bob can win. But also, If it is odd like this, if zeros are odd, if the size is odd, then it would be different. Then Alice, let's say, chooses this so that Bob would have to pay. Bob would, let's say, pays and changes one of these, and then Alice could reverse the string, or Alice could actually pay and change this, and then Bob would have to pay for the remaining two. That is crazy. And in that case, Bob paid for 3 coins and Alice for one. Okay, that makes sense. That actually makes sense. That makes sense. So, so. This what I have written would only work when string size is not that great. But if it is big, string size, if it is greater than 4, if the string size is 4, then the one who makes the first move loses. If there are more than 4 zeros, then the one to make the first move loses. And if there are less than 4 zeros, it depends. Then it depends. 1, 2, 3, 4. What if I have 6 zeros? Then Alice could choose that. Alice. Okay, Alice starts there. Okay, right now I'm thinking time. If zeros are like this, like that is 0. 6 zeros, Alice could choose, let's say Alice has to choose 1 0. So she chooses this, and it is her chance first. Then Bob reverses and doesn't has to pay anything. Alice's the price that Alice has paid is 1, and now this is not a palindrome, so Bob has the option to reverse this thing. But let's say Bob goes here and changes this, then Alice could reverse. Since Bob didn't, or Bob could choose this, and then Alice cannot reverse anymore, so she would have to pay again, and her cost would be now 2, and Bob's cost is the price that Bob has paid till now is 1. And after that, it was Alice's move. Then Bob, let's say, reversed the string because it is not a palindrome anymore, and Bob reversed the string. Then after reversing, Alice has to pay. Alice has to pay to change one of these, and this is still a 0. This, and this. These are zeros, and let's say she does this, and her cost is now 3, and Bob now has to pay a price. Let's say he does this, and then Alice could reverse the string, and Bob's price now is 2. Then Alice could reverse the string, and then Bob would have to choose this, and Bob's price would be 3, and Bob would actually lose. No, it would be a draw. Let's go with 4, and Alice chooses this. Then Bob could either reverse or choose one number, and let's say if he chooses this, it would be bad because this would not be a palindrome, and This would not be a palindrome and it would be bad. So he chooses this. Now this is a palindrome and Alice cannot reverse it. So Alice has to choose something, and now it is not a palindrome. Bob can reverse it, and Alice chooses this. So the price that Alice paid was 3, and the price that Bob paid was 1, and Bob clearly won because he paid less price. So that is cool. When this is 4, but when this was 6, and Alice, can I reduce this thing to 4? Now I know that Alice has to do something. Let's say she goes here, and then Bob could reverse or do something else. Let's say Bob reverses the thing, and then Alice would again choose some number, and if she chooses a thing that is not, she chooses this, she would like to make it a palindrome so that Bob would not be able to reverse this, and if Bob is not able to reverse, then Bob has to pay, and let's say Bob plays here, then Alice has the option to reverse, but Alice actually does this, and Bob cannot reverse now. Bob cannot reverse since this is a palindrome, so Bob chooses one of these, and now Alice reverses, and Bob chooses one of these, and now they are tied. Now they are tied. If it was 6, and if it was 4, then this, and if it were 8, what would happen then? And in this case, all of Bob's moves were fixed. They couldn't be anything else except the first one. What if he didn't reverse in the first case? Let's see. And this, when there are 6, Alice, let's say, went there, then Bob, instead of choosing, he can, instead of reversing, he chooses one of these, and he could either choose this to make this a palindrome, and then Alice won't be able to reverse, or he could choose this when Alice would be able to reverse. So let's go down with both of them one by one. So, let's say he chooses this, Bob chooses this, and if he does, then Alice has to choose some 0. She, let's say, chooses this. Now Bob has a choice. Either choose one thing. Let's say he chooses this. Bob is smart, and then Alice would have to choose something. So she chooses this, and now Bob reverses, and now Alice cannot reverse, and she would choose this, and Bob would win. So this is wrong. This would be right for Bob. So in this, Bob won. In this, when there were 4, Bob won. And you could actually repeat this process. You could actually repeat this process, and Bob would always win if Alice is playing the first move. If Alice is playing the first move, then Bob will always win. There are even number of zeros. It could be 4. In this case, when it is odd, I know that Bob is winning, so see out Bob. But if 1, in this case, Alice would play one move, and then Bob, then Alice would always draw. Then it would be draw. Shit. So Alice can never win. Hmm. Why do I say draw? Except, except in the case, what if there are three zeros at some point? I know that one zero would be in the middle, and Alice can choose this one. And then we start with Bob's move here, and then Alice goes there, and Bob wins. No, Bob loses in three, and Alice wins. If there is a single zero, then always a draw. No. Okay. If there's this, then Bob wins. And what if five? Five, and Alice, let's say, chooses this. So Alice has when there are odd number of zeros, then Alice has two main choices, either to choose the zero in the middle or to choose some other zero. And if she chooses the zero in the middle, then let's see. If she chooses the zero in the middle, okay, I have to stop using Excalibur and think in my head. I'll do that from tomorrow in the stream because I want to get faster at CP. She chooses this, then Bob is forced to choose some number, and since Bob is the one moving first, then Alice doesn't move, let's say, then Bob would have to pay again, and then Alice comes in, chooses one thing, and then Bob, and then Alice. Bob reverses and Alice chooses this, but this is not bad when we know that if we have even number of these left, since Alice already chose this, and then Bob will be forced to choose one. Then in the next move, Alice should choose this, or no, not this, but this, so that it is a palindrome, and Bob would have to pay again, and then Alice would reverse, and Bob would have to pay. Alice could reverse, and Bob would have to pay. Okay, I can cut off these, they don't matter. So in this case, if z isn't equal to 1, wait, then it is never draw due to some reason. When would it be draw? If there are three zeros, then Alice would win. If there are two, then Bob would win. If there are four, then Bob would win. If there are six, then Bob would win. But if there are odd amount of zeros, then Alice has to do the one first, and then I would have a even amount of zeros in which Bob would pay. So when would Alice win? Alice would win in this thing, except if if it is not equal to zero, then Alice wins. If there are even zeros, then Alice wins. And if odd, Bob. So there is never a draw. Shit. I'm being very stupid in this. Well, I actually being feel like I'm being very stupid. There is draw at some point. What if there are no zeros at all? If there are no zeros at all, then it is a draw. But this got accepted, so that is cool. I'm never outputting a zero, and 30 minutes is a very long time for a question like this. Actually, a very long time for this. When is it? Draw. Should I saw a draw at some point? There is never draw. Okay, it was in like the wrong solution. I saw a draw in the wrong solution. Okay. So that is cool. And this took me 30 minutes, which is very long. 30 minutes is very long for a question like this. I'll go to the next one. Before that, I have to see this thing and analyze this question. So the thing in this question was simple. I just had to realize this thing, this simple thing. If it is odd, then Bob. If the number of zeros is even, then Bob would win. And if the number of zeros is odd, if odd, then Alice would win, except when there is only one zero. That is what I had to realize. And let's see, tutorial and also tags, what greedy, games, and constructive algorithm. It is B1, this one, easy version. There is also a hard version, and this is Ruski. If the count of zeros in the string S is even, Bob always wins. Yes. Proof: he can restrict Alice from performing operation 2 by making string S palindrome. If Alice changes Si in some number to 1, then Bob will change the opposite one. However, when the last remaining 0 is there, then Bob will reverse the string, eventually forcing Alice to perform one more operation than Bob did, and Bob would win. If the count of zeros in the string is odd, Alice wins, except for the case of 1 0. Makes sense. That is what I checked for. And now I would like to move to the next question. It's been 3 days for me in lead code. I talked to a guy named Teja Drona Dula on YouTube. He is 2 times ICPC World finalist when I asked him how to approach the problems. Okay, that is crazy. 2 times ICPC World finalist. I don't know him by name. Let's see. So what did he say? He said try to solve it brute forcefully. Why would you solve it brute forcefully? With brute force, it is like it will give TLE error if you are trying to solve something brute force. Let's send all questions right now. Okay, you sent a particular question and he said to solve that particular question with brute force. Okay, if that is the thing. And he didn't say to solve all the questions brute forcefully with brute force algorithm. It's showing limit. I guess you are trying to paste the question here and the letter count is going high, so it is fine. I'll move on to the next question. Stopwatch. This one seems smaller. Okay, for this one, I will not open Excalibur and I will think about the solution first and then implement it. That is how you should do it. And I will not panic. I will be calm and do this as quickly as I can. Be slow and fast. It is like be calm and graceful. Smooth. Smooth is slow. Slow. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. Yep. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. Let's go. You're given an array A, an integer, count the pair indices such that this, and I1j equals g minus n, 2 seconds. Can I go n square? I cannot go n square. Count the number of pairs like this. J minus I, so that I need a positive integer. So I can just, for a current letter I go, for this to be true, J minus I, whenever it is broken, then no, and yes, that could be true. 1, 2, yes, shit, shit. I thought, okay, this might be fucking genius. This might be genius. This might be actually genius. No, 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 no. Yeah, it would be compared to that. Okay, this is thinking time. Output only once. And that, where is it? It is here. 4 and 6. So whenever it is decreasing, then I will never have the answer. I can just discard this side of the array and look here. I understand the brute force solution, but is there anything better? Here the answer is 3. Okay, let's apply the brute force. I am gonna apply the brute force, and that might give me ELE error, but let's see. And VI A then auto reference X and A Cn X and for int I equals 0, I less than n and I plus plus for int j equals I plus 1 and g less than n and j plus plus, and if also int answer initially 0, and here if a j minus a I equals j minus I, then answer plus plus and CR answer. That is correct, but it is not optimal. It is not very optimal. I cannot go n square. I'm like this might just be able to go borderline n square. 10 to the power 5, 2 seconds. Let's see. Time complexity is the only thing that I'm worried about. But the question is, would I submit a solution like this if I was in a contest? I guess I would, but then I would get a time limit exceeded error. So I have to be smarter than this. Given something like this, if there are so 6 or 1, I'm looking for a 2 here. Yeah, I'm looking for it. Increase. Here 1 and 3 come side by side, and here the actual answer is 10. I could sort, I could sort this. There will be multiple pairs. Here I have this series 1 and 3, 4, 5 make one series, and if there was a if there was a 11 here, then I would have a series of 6 and 11 that would also make one pair. And if in a series I have this thing, something like this, then I do not need to do n square search for them, right? If But if none of them, if it is completely in reverse order, descending order, then I would still do n square, which is bad. An optimal way. For this number, the correct pair here would be 2, here would be 3, 4, 5, 6. And when I have found a pair, a series of numbers which are at their correct position, here I have 5 of them, then answer would be combination of 2, 5C2, which would be 5 factorial, upon 3 factorial, and 2 factorial, 5, 3, 2, 5 into 4 divided by 2, 10. 10 is the answer. But there would be multiple series like that, and I need to find those series. Okay, There will be one series. Okay. Numbers cannot be negative. Cannot be negative. Yep. I need a way to eliminate stuff. Given this, if I start with this, answer is 0. Then I see this, and now I have two series, and I have two series. Okay, cool. Shit. Okay, okay. I think I have it. So after doing this, and then I will create another array, vi, index is n, size n, and sort indexes dot begin and indexes dot end with a reference function, reference to a, and doesn't matter, and it takes in two numbers, int I, int j, and return a I lower than a j. And after sorting, I will have two things, two pointers, int I, int L and R, and also int answer initially equals 0, and while L lower while L is lower than N, I do not want to go to the last one. Yes, and initially L and R, right? Int L equals 0 and R starts at 1, and I have the numbers and I have the this might work or might not. Okay, anyways, while L and R are the indexes, represent the index from the IND thing, from the IND array, IND R minus IND L equals a, right, I will need that, ind r minus a ind l. Well, that is the case, I will keep doing r plus and answer would be count would be r minus l plus 1 and c equals r minus l minus 1 and answer plus equal cc2 and number of pairs 10. Divided by 2. Okay, c into c minus 1 divided by 2 and c out answer, but after this l equals r wherever r is and r plus plus. I hope this one works, or this might give me an error. So what am I even doing here? Yes, here 0, and what I wrote here has to go in here. Ind dot begin and ind dot end, and here goes the reference int I, int j, and return ai lower than aj. Segmentation fault. It starts at 0, and then I'm trying to. This is how iota works, and this is how sort works. ij, ai, aj. R lower than L and listening, not lower, R lower than N. Okay, I said 3. I have one pair, yes. R is pointing to some element. R is pointing to an element that does not satisfy this condition. So R minus L gives me 1 plus 1. And if it is 2, then 2, 2 into 2 minus 1. It is 1, and then divided by 2. It will return 2. I have 2 numbers. That means, and how many pairs can I make with 2 numbers? 1. Okay. Okay. 6 is much better. R C equals R minus L. C is correct. But is the logic correct? No, no. Mm, D, same. Okay. And CPP for this one, 6, 1, 3, one test case. It has 6 numbers, 1, 6, 3, 4, 5. Is that 6? No, 5, 6. C was equal to 4. No, it should have been 5, not 4 in the first case. L, R, and shout, and 1, 6, 1, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 0 and 4, which means I should have had 5 elements. 0th element is correct, 4th element is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is also right. Okay, it ended because I was outside. Okay, because I was outside. So, uh, if this condition holds, then I do +1. Okay, if if this thing, then C plus. And of course, remove these two. Wrong answer. I was expecting right answer for this one at least. Zero and 4 is what I got. L was equal to 0 and R was equal to 4. L equals 0, 0.21, 0 would point to 0, and 4 would point to 5, and 4 minus 5 is this. Okay, yes, it would not hold, it would not hold. Instead, if R equal size. 7 should never be the answer. What the heck? If R equals N, shit, there is something wrong with my implementation. He said to try to solve it forcefully and reverse learn concept as you do. Knowledge won't help because it is pure logic. When I asked him how am I expected to solve hard DB problems if I didn't expose myself to enough easy sliding window problem, backtracking or other array string problem, he said we don't need to learn complex esoteric concepts at all. Would you agree with that? Well, I am also learning at the time, and I would say logic is very important. But if also I mean, of course, there is a difference of weight between his opinion and mine. But if you know these concepts like sliding window or backtracking or other things, then you have tools with which you can deconstruct a problem. But having good tools does not matter if you do not have the sense to apply them, which is the logic part. So you need both the things. What helps you focused the most right now? You just have to be aware. You forget from time to time that you need to be focused and present in the present. And even when you know that you should be present in the present, it is just hard to be actually there. So what I do is I touch a wall or some object and see, make myself and tell myself that I am actually here. Noise cancellation. Nothing is playing on them. But this thing, right? Today is a contest, and this is crazy. This is supposed to be a simple question, and I have spent 25 minutes. I will go for 4 more minutes, and then I will look at the solution because this might be using. I do not have to derive every solution. This might be using something that I'm not familiar to, but I am guessing that this uses sorting at some level, at like at completely full level, and then something with that. And what I'm trying to see is stick. I could have 6 here on this on. Yes, shit. Yep. This could fail in that. Yep. 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 The thing that I'm trying to do here, this will fail. This will fail. Like it is failing, but even if I were able to implement this correctly, it would still fail conceptually. Mm, This is wrong and not right. And I guess I can look at the solution now, or maybe like some part of it. Editorial D. And today is a contest, which is, let's see. I want to improve, get better, get better. Yeah. Same difference. Let's rewrite the original equality a bit. This one is this equal. Yes, makes sense. Okay, I'm not reading the last line. I'm just focusing here, and if I can do something with this. Shit. Okay, I can change all the things with this and find the ones that are equal and shit. Okay. That makes sense. Much more sense than sorting or anything. And then for int I equals 0, I less than n I plus plus. Shit. This is logic. This is not like, yeah, this was simple logic. So what I'm going to do is AI equals the value at AI minus I. Replace that and then a map to count the frequency of all of these, an unordered map of int to int and mp, let's call it, and then, or while I'm doing this, I can do this at the same time. Mp bracket mp bracket ai plus plus. The new value of ai goes in there and count. Yep. Int answer equals 0 and for auto x mp answer plus equals x dot, I have to do something with x dot second. What do I have to do? X dot second multiplied by x dot second minus 1 and divided by 2. X dot second multiplied by x dot second minus 1 and the whole thing divided by 2 and see out answer at the end. That is correct. It That is actually cool. The solution. What do they say? Let's replace AI with bi, which is equal to this. Then the answer is the number of pairs such that I less than j. Did I got that right? It is running and it is accepted. You can use a map. I did use a map, or I could have used sorting. Yes, let me use sorting instead of a map. After this, uh, well, map sorting would use n log n time, and map could be faster. Depends on the number of pairs that I have. Sort a dot begin and a dot end, and after that for int I, how do I do this? I equals 0 and while I less than n, for int I equals 0, I less than, do I want to go to the last one? No. N minus 1 and I plus plus and int c equals 0, and if ai equals a I plus 1, then c plus plus, well, actually it should be 1, else answer plus equals c into c minus 1 divided by 2 and also c equals 1. At the end, the out answer, and wrong. Okay, yes, shit. If this is the case, then I plus plus, go to the next one and compare them. But okay, don't do this. Don't do this. I don't like this. And else then I plus plus. I plus plus. This should have worked. A. What is the A for all of them? Here the answer is correct. Here also the answer is correct. Here, why do I say 0 in this one? When clearly in the first one, answer 1 is cool, but then in the second one, I say 0. The third is correct. Fourth is correct. In the second one, I say 0. Why? I should answer 3 into 3 minus 1, 2. 2 divided by 1, 3. I should answer 3, but I don't. Why? Which is 1. Okay. 1 equals 1, which is 2. So C becomes 2. Okay. 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 Makes sense. Um, ans if Yeah, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. It is because of that, and when I get out, I have to see the value of C. If yeah, I can just do this and remove this line. This correct answer. Okay, this should also work. Yo, for me, that is what I do. Eventually, I can debug and build websites the way I want, but I rely on the actual coding part. I make sure I understand the code well, so I never lose control over it. That makes sense. For example, I never took a course on fast API, but just yesterday I trained on simple ML model and wanted to deploy it. So I generated the code with AI to set up everything and learned as I went. It worked out fine. Now I'm still not sure whether I should take a proper course or just keep learning by doing. Well, that is a good argument, and that is a good question because while you are learning by doing, you do not know what you are missing, and taking a course might teach you things that you do not know about. Accepted. And yeah, that. So do you take a course or do you not? I guess you should take a course because if you know all the things that are in the course, then it would not be if you take a course, then either you know the things that are taught in the course or you do not. And if you do know the things that are in the course, then you will be like, it would be a good revision for you. And if you do not, then it would be a learning experience for you. So taking a course is fine in that way. But do not rely completely on a course. The main thing is take the course and also do not rely on the course to teach you everything. You have to do your own research. Like for DSA, I'm not taking a course. That is one thing. And yep, relying on AI, but you can use AI for learning, but not actual code. You can also rely on AI for coding if you do understand the code yourself. If you know that you can write the code on your own, it took me 38 minutes. This one, even though I didn't do it on my own, this was the third question for the day, right? It was the third one. Pleasant pairs was, wait, shit. Stable, yeah, it was the third one for the day. And today is a contest. Shit. I want to get to a higher rating in today's contest. It would be very cool. And I will be right back. I have to go to the washroom. I'll be right back. Yo, I'm back, and with this stream, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I don't think I'll be able to reach 2000 if I continue things this way. I have to change something. Yeah, either the format or something else. I feel like I'm speaking too much while I'm solving the question. So from now on, I while I'm solving a question, I will not like do anything. I will be in the mode as if this is a contest and I am alone and no streaming is going on. I will solve questions that way, and then after I have solved them, then I will try to explain them what I did in the questions in the solution. Because I am very serious about reaching 2000. I want to reach 2000 by the end of this year. So cool, begin. Or zero something. Given to integers, okay. The number of arrays length n. Bitwise and is 0. Okay. Okay. Zero, zero, three. Shit.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, Fuck. Yes. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. 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 This might be correct. This might be fucking correct. I'll look at the chat right in a minute if I get this correct. Yes. It is taking too long. Shit. Test 2, it is taking too long. Time limit exceeded. Okay. Shit. Okay. No. Yeah. Wrong. 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 Makes sense. Makes sense. Mm. Okay. This might be. This might be it. But I did give 2 wrong answers before this, and the actual thing at play was much simpler than I thought. Shit. I was thinking very like complicated things which I shouldn't have thought. Ding. Let's see. It is still running on test one, which is bad. Accepted. Cool. Accepted. 28 minutes. Yo, shit. Shouldn't have taken this long. But anyways, yep. Low battery on laptop. How much battery do I have on my phone? 80%. That is good enough. I can put my laptop on charge. And yes, I think this is how I'm going to solve questions from now on. I like didn't speak a single word for 30 minutes and now I will be explaining how I did this. Like, let's catch up with the chat. What helps you when you stay mentally busy? No, I want to get your course. These things like what is and yeah, when you are reading about basic stuff, it is very hard. Everything from scratch, I can still piece things together and see the bigger picture. Even ChatGPT manipulates me into not taking a course and just asking, "Yo, Roxy, you never sleep," it seems like. Honestly, sitting through the structured video course feels passive and torture. Yes. Yep. When you're reading very low level stuff, it is very hard. Good morning. Yes, it must be a morning in Texas. It is 3 p.m. here. And yes, I want to say that I have changed the format a bit. I thought that while solving questions, I was speaking a bit too much, and that was reducing my actual speed, which in turn would have affected how I am giving contests. And since I'm very serious about reaching a rating of 2000, I do not want to do that. You woke up yesterday also at 3, which is like David Goggins and shit, stuff like that. So yeah, the format from now on is going to be that I see a question, I do not say a word while solving it, and after solving the question as fast as I can on my own, I will explain what I did in the question. And the main thing is that while I'm solving the question, I will have the mindset as if I am in a contest. Someday let's play chess as well as on your stream. Yep, I will also like to play chess. David ain't got shit on me. That is crazy. And why are you watching my stream? Shit. Flip the bits. But let me explain this question. So, in this question, this one was like the basic idea that I landed upon at the end was very simple. And I guess this thing develops over time. So, you have two numbers, n and k. N is the size of a array that you have to make, and k is the maximum value of numbers that you can choose. Not maximum value, the maximum value is 2 power k minus 1, which means if you represent this number in binary, it would mean if k equals, let's say, 4, then the maximum number that you could choose is 4 ones, right? And the elements that you put here have to have two things. First, when you take AND of all of these numbers, bitwise AND, the answer has to be 0. First is that thing. And second, that when you sum them, when you sum all of these numbers, their sum has to be as big as possible. So, which means, let's say the maximum possible sum that you could have given these two conditions. You want all of the numbers to have their AND equal to 0. When you take AND of all of these numbers, their AND has to be equal to 0. So you could take a 0 and then all the rest of the numbers as high as possible. And the highest value that you could take is 2 power k minus 1. And you could look at these like this, something like this. Let's say in an example, you have n equal to 3 and k equal to 4. So to make the and equal to 0, you need one thing. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the maximum value that you could choose, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the maximum binary value that you could choose. So to make this number equal to and, you need to have at least 1 0 here, at least 1 0 here, at least 1 0 here, at least 1 0 here. And these zeros could be distributed in any of the n elements that we could have. And let's change the order. N equals 4 and k equals 3. So you can have 4 elements, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You could have 4 numbers, and the maximum that you would have would be 1, 1, 1. So let's say, and you want the and to be equal to 0 at the end. So the maximum number that you could choose, I will be representing numbers like this vertically, is this. And now you want to make this thing equal to 0. So you need at least 1 0 at this place, and you could put these zeros. So, and now since you have a 0 in the lowest LSB place, you never need a 0 here. You only need a 0, let's say, for this thing. So you can put 1 0 here. Now you have a 0 at this level. Then you would need a 0 to cancel this. So you, let's say, put 1 0 here, and you could have 1 here. And what this boils down to at the end is that you have k zeros, and each one of these zeros, this 0 or this 0, can go to any of these places, n places. So at every level, you need to have at least 1 0, and this 0 could go here, could go here, or could go here, or any of the n places. So at every level, you have n choices. And how many levels do you have? You have k levels. So at every level, you have n choices, you have k levels. So you do n into n into n into n to k times. You do, yeah, you take n power k, n power k, and in my solution, that is what I'm doing. I'm doing answer initially 0, multiply by n, multiplied by n, multiplied by n, k number of times, and also taking the modulo and then outputting the answer. So this, but getting to this thing from the problem statement, from this, was kind of hard, but I should have figured it out because I have this thing and here. Maybe this just takes time. You play chess? Yep. My rating is 800. It is not very good. Yeah, my rating is 800 in chess. I'm not very good at chess. So yeah, that was the question explained, and I have done 4 questions today till this point, and I want to get one more, and it has been 2 hours and 34 minutes. That is like, yes, that is not going to work. I have to improve it. 2.5 hours to solve 4 questions is not really good. And since I said the format has changed while I'm solving a question, I will not speak at all. I will just like be in the moment, and I will solve the question as if that is all I'm doing. And you woke up at 3, that is crazy. Like it is 3 p.m. here. What is the time here? There, I guess it is 4. There is quite a bit of lag. Mr. John. Yo. Okay. So when I start this, I will not look at the chat or don't say and don't speak anything. I won't speak anything. And it's 4:38. That is crazy. So you just woke up 1 hour and 38 minutes ago. Okay. I won't speak anything while I am solving the question because I think that reduces my speed and I do not want that. Can I do this? Okay. Prefix. Mhm. Uh, oh, Of course. Um, what's my answer? Uh, uh, oh, Yo, I think that is right. Yep, I think that should work. All right, let's see. Gotta solve a few questions. Yep, that is cool. How did you set up NeoVim to get the test result nicely for the current buffer? Now I will show you. It seems like it will work. Yep, seems correct. Yo, I actually like this format when I am just like out of this world and solving the question and I do not speak anything. I have done 5 questions today. That is cool. At least 5 questions from this, which is like the least target, the least number of questions that I have to do. That is cool, and I like this thing, this new format in which I'm just solving the question and then I explain it after solving. And how did you set up new to get the test result nicely for the current buffer? I don't understand what you mean by buffer. I'm supposing you by buffer you mean for the current question, and for that there is a NeoVim plugin, Assistant NeoVim. You can add this plugin to your NeoVim, and when you have done that, you can go to your plugin file, and I have defined the ski map leader CPP. So whenever I press space CP, it says right here in the like here bottom, my interface for competitive programming appears. So you can press anything you want. You can put any key map you want, and whenever you just have to be in your NeoVim, you have to start your NeoVim and go to some code forces question and have this plugin, this extension. This is called competitive companion extension, and click here, and in NeoVim it will ask in which language do you want to do this thing. Let's say whatever language, and then it will set up everything that needs to be set up. What it actually does is in this folder where you started NeoVim, it creates this .ast folder, .assistant folder, and in this there are the questions input and output for the problems in a JSON format like this. And the assistant, whenever I test for a test case, the assistant goes there and reads the JSON file and tests if I'm getting the correct answer or not. And now explaining the question, what I did there. In this question, what is the question? Yeah. So in this question is this. It is a yes or no question, right? Shit. Shit, that is crazy technology by Excalibur. Excalibur asked me, what do I want here? And that is crazy. What else can I have? I can have something like this. Okay, it is representing the two numbers, and that is which is cool. But I do not want that. I want the raw numbers, the raw string. Right. When I have something like this, the operation that I can do is choose a prefix from my starting string, and if the number of ones and zeros in this prefix are equal, I can choose it and then flip all the ones to zeros and all the zeros to ones. And this prefix that I have selected right now, I cannot choose it because this has 4 ones and only 2 zeros. So the smallest prefix, that the only prefix that I could choose from this is this, from starting till this point. And yeah, that is how you choose a prefix, and then you reverse invert all the bits. 0 becomes 1 and 1 becomes a 0. And after doing all of these operations, you need to make this new string. And the question is, can I get to this thing given this thing? So my algorithm for this is simple. I start iterating from the start and I match these things and I see, do I want to change them? And here I do not want to change them, so that is cool. And then I see here, do I want to change these? And I do not want to change these, so I move forward. And I am also keeping count of the number of zeros and ones that I have encountered. Till now, we have seen 1 0 and we have seen this 0 and we have seen 1 1. And then I see this thing, a mismatch. Now, since I would at some point like to flip this bit into A0, and whenever that happens, since I can only choose a prefix, whatever, then these bits will be flipped over. And when that happens, I would have to fix these two bits and change them as they were before. And to make that happen, I should have the ability to choose these two bits as a prefix, and that would only be possible if the number of zeros and the number of ones is equal in this prefix. And if that is equal, then we are cool, and I can move on to the next string to checking the next num values. And here I see 1, so I increment my 1 counter by 1 and now I have 2 ones, and then I match these two and they are also again different, but I do not care about that. I can just move on and I will go forward as far as I can till I see a pair of numbers which I do not have to change. So increment it. Now I increment my 0 since I saw one more 0, and then this here also there is a change and I increment my counter of 1, and then here also there is a change. I increment my counter of 0, now it is 3, and now this thing again a difference, and number of zeros is equal to 4. Yep. 1 2 3 4, and number of ones is actually, shit, I miscounted. Number of fours is also 1. Number of ones is also 4. And now I see this thing, which means I have encountered a pair that I do not want to choose and that I do not want to flip. So I should at least have the ability to choose these numbers to flip them. And I would only have that if number of zeros and ones is equal, and in this case they are equal, so I'm good to go and I can move forward. And I see this and this, they are still equal. I no need to change them. And yeah, and there are some edge cases. What was the name of the question? B, flip the bits. Flip the bits, and here I take in n, then I take in both the strings a and b, and then I initialize number of zeros, number of ones equal to 0, number of zeros equal to 1, and OP. Why do I need OP? I thought I would need the number of operations. No, I do not need OP. And P, is it ever possible? And if I encounter a situation where I need to choose a prefix, but I cannot because the number of zeros and ones is not equal, then I make P equal to false and I break. And O is just like a bit which tells me that when I see a sequence, let's say this, which I do not want, I might, whenever I see a sequence like this, which I might want to change or might not, here I do not want to change anything, and the previous ones could have been the same or they could have been different. And in this case, if they were different, then I would like to see if the number of zeros and ones is same. But if they were the same, then I do not need to flip and I do not need to check the number of zeros and ones. So this OO represents that. So when it is true, that means when it is true, then it means then the last thing that I was at were different. And when it is false, it means the last things that I was at, they were same. So when it is true, I just start iterating and I see if if the current bits in A and B are different. If they are different, then I need a change. Right? If they are different, 0, 1, then I need to change. But I also need to know if the bits before this, were they the same or were they something different? And if they were different, then I would like to see the number of zeros and the number of ones, they would have to be equal. And that I would know seeing this OO number. And if OO is false, then I need to compare number of zeros, number of ones, and number of zeros. And if number of ones and number of zeros are not equal, then it is not possible. P equals false and break. And then since right now I am at a pair which does not match, which needs inversion, I make OO equals true. And if I at some point encounter a pair that does not need any changing, then I need to know what the last pair was. Was it different or was it same? If it was different, then I need to check the number of zeros and the number of ones. And if they were different, which is represented by the OO, if they were different and the number of ones is not equal to the number of zeros, then I put possible equals false and I break out of this whole loop. And if I do not break, then I put OO equals false because right now I am at a pair in which I do not need any inversion in the bits. And then, yeah, and at the end of every loop, I update the number of zeros and the number of ones. And then outside the loop, I am checking, outside the loop, I am checking P, is it possible? And if it is possible, then I would also like to see the last thing. If at the end of this array, if let's say here I had 1, then then I would like to flip this. And if I want to flip this, then I want the number of zeros and ones here to be same. So if I want to flip this, if it is true, then I need to see if the number of zeros and ones are also true. And if they are false, then I will output no. And if they were equal, then I will output yes, true. So that was the whole thing. And yeah, so did you do any course on algorithms and DSA before solving questions of difficulty from medium to harder ones? Long time no see. You, Eric Lee, how is the weather in Australia right now? And I guess, is it winter there? I don't know. And what project have you done before with your comfortable programming language? I have not done like big projects. My GitHub is here. I do not have like big projects. Advent of code chatting app. I did try to make a chatting app. What did I do? I don't even remember what I did. Module stuff. Mm. It is very bad. It has 77 commits, but I don't remember what I did in this. But the main thing is that whatever I did it on my own without watching any course or tutorial or anything. And why is it half in TypeScript and half in JavaScript? Shouldn't it be in the same language? I guess the modules might be using different languages, and this is how you see that you are seeing a noob person. I have node modules in my GitHub. That is a noob thing. noobs have node modules in their on their GitHub repositories? Because node modules contains libraries which you want to add in your project, and node modules are heavy. Node modules are very heavy. As you can see, heaviest objects in the universe: sun, neutron star, black hole, and then node modules are heavier than black holes. So you should not add your node modules directory onto GitHub, because if someone wants to run your project locally, they can just npm install all the modules from shit. Why don't I even have an index.package.json file? But shit, this is actually fucking stupid. I have multiple node module folders. See, this is very big. You're not supposed to add your node module here, because node modules will be required when someone is running your project. But when you have, let's say you have all of this project except node modules, you can just do npm install, and npm will go through your package.json, and it will see all the directories, dependencies that you are using, and it will install and create the node modules directory on its own. So you can install them externally and do not have to get them from GitHub itself. So that is a noob thing. When you see node modules here, so that is noob play. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, that is cool. It is like end of summer. About shit. It is cold there in Australia, and so it is end of summer. So when is Kevin Parker's new album coming out? End of summer, right? What projects have you done with your comfortable language? Yeah, just yeah, some little stuff here and there. And one more thing, I need to get a better fundamental understanding of DSA topics. And for that, I have not done like I have only done questions. So like randomly solving questions, but I'm not reading a lot about these things. So I need to have a fundamental understanding, a set of tools which I can apply, for which I'm going to solve these things, all of these questions, this whole tree map, and I will get to know topics like well, I do know what a linked list is. I do not know sliding window. Stack, I know two pointers, I know binary search, I know trees. I'm not very good at trees. And this one question is good. That is good. Tries, I don't know what the fuck. Tries are greedy. I know what greedy algorithms are, but practice would be good. And yeah, this thing just seems very good and very practical. And oops. I have done 5 questions, which was my target. And let's say, okay, let me do as many of these questions as I can. My laptop is on charge, my phone is at 59% battery. So I will do till my phone goes to like 10 or 15% battery. Yeah, twosome. So we are going to do twosome. Given an array of integers, nums and int, target return indices of two numbers such that they add up to the target. And you may assume that each input will have exactly one solution. Same element twice. I do not want to do n square. And is it sorted given an array of numbers? No, it is not sorted. You may assume that is in any order. Can I do this better than n square? I think I can do this in better than n square time complexity. Yep, and I do have Vim in my VS in my lead code. That is cool. Unordered map int, and but we do not get any LSP support here, so which is kind of bad. MP x plus plus, okay, and if MP. Shit, I need to return the index. Shit, not just that, it is possible. Okay, not the numbers. Then I could go through the thing and find their indices. That would be cool. Target minus x, then I equals x and j equals target minus x, and then you know I'm looking for I and j in the array, and k equals 0, p less than target dot size. What the heck is target dot size? Nums dot size and k plus plus. If uh, nums k equal I, then put it, yeah, then equals I, then one of the answer is I. I need some number to put the answer in. I, then I equals A, else if nums K equal J, then JP equals K. And I can a vector is vector of integer answer size 2, size 2, and if this, then answer 0 equals this, and if this, then answer 1 equals this, and at the end return answer. And that shit is my internet. My internet is fine. Uh, See ya later. Yeah, bye. And lead code doesn't work. Submit. No network, even though I have my net is working. Bruh. Yeah, it has been like quite long, 3 hours and 20 minutes. I guess I will be in that case, since lead code is not working. I can end the stream and rest for some time, do some calisthenics, muscle ups, and then I will get back to it. And today is also a contest, 7th of August, Thursday. And thank you for being here.